All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Beast Wars Deluxe Class Waspinator. Now, this is obviously not the original one, but the Fox Kids repaint that was released a few years later. And yeah, this is just the one I've had since I was a kid. I've never been overly fond of this color scheme, just because like it's just like a lot less interesting, I feel like, than the original green one. Like, it's not even really more accurate to like a real world Wasp, so I'm not really sure why they decided for this color scheme, just because it's a little bit boring, but whatever. It's the figure I've had for a while now. And yeah, no, it's an okay Wasp node. It's definitely a bit clunky by today's standards. I think that, the more recent choice that they've made with Waspinator to have like his his third set of bug mode legs just kind of sit off the limbs rather than become the limbs was probably a good one, because then you don't end up with things like this where he's got like the super chunky back legs there. But yeah, other than that, it's okay. I like the gold and the black. I think that that's a nice touch there. In terms of articulation in this mode, his wings are on ball joints, so you can rotate them around like that. These do have kind of an annoying tendency to pop off. You can see that the little cavity there for the ball joints is kind of shallow, like it's not really connected on enough sides there, so these do have a tendency to kind of fall off, which is annoying. The back legs are on ball joints here at the hip, and then ball joints at the knee, although mine are pretty tight there. And then the front legs are just one piece here, so you can kind of hinge them up like that, but that's about it. You're not really getting anything overly dramatic in terms of a Wasp mode articulation there. In terms of comparisons in this mode, just for a standard size comparison, here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe, so you can see what he looks like with a modern average deluxe. And for some more versions of Waspinator, here he is with the Kingdom version and the Thrilling 30 version. And colors aside, obviously, just in terms of the shape of the Wasp, I definitely think that these two are a lot more successful. I think that probably my favorite of the three in terms of Wasp node has got to go to the Kingdom one. I just think it looks the best and the most kind of natural, whereas they went kind of more with like a techie, less organic route for the Thrilling 31, and it's just a little bit less clunky, both of them are, than the original here, but that's what he looks like with them. In terms of transformation, first thing you want to do is just take the back sections of the abdomen. This is thorax, abdomen. I always get those flipped, but yeah, you want to take the back sections of the abdomen here and just unpeg them from the body. And it's helpful to kind of bring them out to the side like this, so you can take this entire section with the waist piece and flip it around like that, so it has the clearance to peg back into place there. And then you want to orient these knees so they're facing like this, so they can actually have the knee joint in robot mode, and then rotate these ones so they flip up like that, and then this peg on the the insecty leg will go into this bit here, and that will make his robot mode legs. And there goes the wings, or one of them at least. And yeah, you can see that ball joint is just really tight on mine. I don't know, maybe it was like loose and then I tightened it up, and then I can't totally remember. It's been a while since I've really messed with this guy, but it's always a bit annoying, those joints. I know that I've tightened up the wings before and still they end up falling off. And then the arms are just pegged underneath here on these tabs right here. So you just want to bring them out on this joint here and then just unfold them at the elbow. Just bring them down like that on both sides. And then you want to unclip the Wasp head from the body here, and then that will kind of loosen it up, and then you can unpeg it from itself and then split it down the middle and then bring it down, and it'll peg into this middle section right here. And there we have Waspinator in his robot mode. And yeah, again, colors aside, he looks okay. Definitely, it's like, okay, you can see the inspiration for the head sculpt there for the show model, but it definitely looks a bit different than the Waspinator we all know and love. But yeah, he's a little bit clunky by today's standards, but he's still a fun looking figure here, I'd say. In terms of his weaponry, he's actually got fully integrated weapon storage, which I appreciate. Obviously, it's been easy with Waspinator just because his weapon always just becomes the back section of his abdomen there, the little stinger. So it's always easy to have that store, but you can just slide that weapon out, and have him hold it as a gun. And then what's really cool is he also has completely integrated weapon storage for the missiles, because if you look at the wings here, you can actually unclip the middle section to become the missile and then plug that into the weapon, and then that's what, you know, fires with the spring-loaded bit, and which is really cool. I, you know, honestly, like, you know, I do kind of miss spring-loaded weapons, though I can kind of do without them, but the thing that always annoys me about spring-loaded weapons is they don't really have a great place for the missiles to go most of the time, so it's really nice to actually have a figure that has that sort of like integrated storage, not just for the gun, but also for the missiles. In terms of articulation, I'll just put this gun off to the side for now. The head is on a ball joint, and it's got a pretty good range because it's like the ball joint is connected to the body rather than connected to the head, so he gets a good amount of wiggle back and forth, and then obviously rotation. The shoulders are on ball joints, which can rotate around like that. You do have some movement in that transformation joint, so you can get some butterfly movement, which is kind of nice. He's got a bicep swivel, a fully deep bending elbow just for transformation, nothing at the wrist. You can kind of wiggle these back and forth however you like. Obviously nothing at the waist because of how it works for transformation. Hips are on ball joints, which can go that far forward. Can't really go back at all just because of the huge, you know, chunky abdomen section, and then that far out to the side. He's got a ball joint at the knee, which honestly doesn't give him as much thigh swivel as you'd want him to, just because it ends up kind of like inside this like shell. But he does have a pretty deep knee bend, which is nice. So yeah, you know, decent articulation, especially for a figure of this era. And then obviously the wings are still on ball joints there. But yeah, the other gimmick that he has is the mutant head thing. Obviously the mutant head for this figure is the one that they used in the show. So the buzzsaw head is the non-mutant one, but what you want to do is just unpeg the two halves there, open up this chest section, open up this back panel, and then this whole thing can flip around like that, and then just peg back into place there. So you can see him with his alternate head sculpt. And I've always really liked the buzzsaw head. For a while, especially, you know, after I got the Thrilling 30 Waspinator, I had this guy in my collection as Buzzsaw rather than as Waspinator. And, you know, just so we can see what that looks like before we do the rest of the comparisons, here he is with Buzzsaw, so you can see the differences in the head sculpt there. You can see they just added a bit more detail to it. Honestly, I kind of prefer the more simplistic one with like less of the like, you know, intense kind of techie detail like on the wings there, ear wings, you know, those. But yeah, you know, both are still pretty cool. But yeah, then we can just flip his head back in so we can show him off with the other comparisons, because I feel like if that's the head sculpt you want to compare with the other versions of Waspinator, is the actual Waspinator head. But yeah, these pieces, like, it's fine because they peg into place in both modes, but the fact that they are kind of floppy and loose is still a little bit annoying. And honestly, they don't peg in like perfectly to this body section either, so it's still sometimes kind of a pain. Also, this piece, because this whole thing is on a like rotation joint, it can be kind of annoying to peg that into place too. But once you got it, you got it. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, here he is again with Kingdom side swipes. As you can see, he's pretty much an average size deluxe, even by today's standards there. And here he is again with Kingdom Waspinator and Thrilling 30 Waspinator, just so you can see what he looks like with them. And yeah, definitely a lot clunkier than the more slender, kind of newer versions. I'd say in terms of the shape, I still think that the Thrilling 30 version is the best looking in robot mode, but I do like the painted detail better on the Kingdom version, just because the head pops so much better. But you know, that's kind of neither here nor there for this video. But yeah, you know, I don't think he's the best version of Waspinator. Obviously, even in terms of this mold, I feel like this is kind of the weakest color scheme of all the different ones that have been released. But you know, he's still a fun figure to have. This is the one that I've got, and you know, he was my first Waspinator for a while, so I still like him. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to him. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Beast Wars Deluxe Class Waspinator.